Yeah, we're in Joshua chapter 15, verse 1. We're going to go through again. There's just a long list of names of places that each tribe is going to get. For a couple of chapters, we're going to do this. The main purpose for this is to know the boundaries. When you buy a house, the Mayam Lois explains that when you buy a house, what you have to do is you have to know the borders. So the lease identify, or the document of sale will tell you exactly what the borders are. So here, when it's going through all the borders that we have in Eretz Yisrael, that's what's going on here too. So that the children of Judah, the tribe of Judah, can say, this is where my land starts and this is where it ends, and nobody can then take from the land. Everything is very clearly put down. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that there's specific, and I said this before, there's specific mitzvot that only take place in Eretz Yisrael, and so you have to know again the borders for those mitzvot, because if I'm out of Eretz Yisrael, so then those mitzvot, those specific mitzvot dealing with like Jubilee or Shemitah, do not exist outside. Even the Orla does not exist in the United States of America. When we have to plant our trees, I did a sapling, and it grew in the first year and actually produced some fruit. I could use that fruit. I mean, the fruit probably would stink, but I could use that fruit. It's only in Eretz Yisrael that I couldn't. I would have to wait to the 5th year in all practical purposes. I'd have to wait to the 5th year to get benefit from the fruit of that sapling. Again, from birth or whatever. Okay, so now that's the two basic reasons that we have to hear all these borders. Let's start flying through it. It says, verse 1, Vayihya Gorala Mate B'nei Yehuda L'Mishkotam. So this was a lot according to the children of Judah, according to their families. El Gvul Edom Midbar Tzin Negba Miksei Teman. So they would go from the border of Edom to the wilderness of Zin southward at the outermost part of the south. Vayihya Lahem Gvul Negev. So that was their southern border. And it would be Miksei Yam HaMelech. That would be from the Yam HaMelech, from the Salt Sea, the Dead Sea, what they call it, Min HaLashon Hapon HaNegba, and to the bay that faces it southward. V'yatza El HaNegev, and then it would go from the Negev to it would go out to the south side of Lamale Akrabim, to the place of what we call Male Akrabim, V'Havartzina, and it would pass along Sin, V'Alav HaNegev, the Kadesh Barnea, and it would ascend to the south side of the Kadesh Barnea, V'Havar Chetzron, and then it would pass by to Chetzron, V'Ala Adara, and it would go up to Adar, and then V'Nasav HaKarka'ah, and then it would circle to Karka'ah. Now, you will notice there's a lot of different terms as to what's going on. It's really relating to, in other words, what I mean is going to, then it goes from V'yatza to V'ala to V'avar, and then back to Allah, V'nasav. These are just different terms that are describing the geography of the land. I mean, this really is happening. V'avar Atzmona, and so then it's going to pass up from Atzmon V'yatza Nachal Mitzrayim, and then it went to the river of Egypt. Where's the river of Egypt? So some people, where is it? I saw this before. The Euphrates is, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to identify that with the Euphrates, but let me see. Yeah, some people say, oh, the Nile or the Wadi El Arish. There you go. Another thing, but also other people say that it could be Euphrates. So it's a whole question of what's the river of Egypt. And the goings out of the borders were from the sea. This shall be your southern border. So now the eastern border. Yam Melech, was from the salt, again, the Yam Melech, the Salt Sea, the Dead Sea, Har Yarden, until the edge or the end of the Jordan. Ugavul Lif Atzafona, so now you have the northern border, Medashon Hayam, was from the Bay of the Sea, Mixa Hayardin, at the outermost part of the Jordan. The Allah Gavul Bay Chagla, so that border will go up to the Beit Chagla, the Avar, and will pass to Mitzvon, the Beit Ha'ara, and it will pass on the northern side to the Beit Arava, the Allah Agvul, and then the border will go up to Evan Bohan ben Reuven. He will go up to Evan of Bohan, the son of Reuven. The Allah Gavul Devira. So then the border will go up to Devir. Me'emek Achor, from the valley of Achor. Vitzafona Pona El Ha-Gilgal, and the northern, so that northward facing Gilgal, Shenochach L'Mala Adumim, that is before the ascent to Adumim, Hashemi Negev L'Nachal, which is on the south side of the valley. V'avar Gavul El Me'ein Emesh, and so the border passes along the waters of Ein Emesh. The names are also interesting. I mean, if you would have a couple of years to figure out, first of all, I'm not sure where all these places are. You'd have to find a biblical map to know exactly what we're talking about. Like I said, we're not even sure where the Yam, where the Sea of Egypt is. So it could be either the Nile, or like I said, it could be what do they call it, the Euphrates? Wadi El Arish, or the Euphrates. Is one of these. We really, Mamash, just don't know what it's referring to. There's an argument. And I've always said, whenever there's an argument, it means we're not sure. But the other thing is just the name place is Ein Shemesh, the well of the sun. I mean, that's, or the eye of the sun, if you want to take ayin. So it could be the eye of the sun too. But it's just, it's very interesting names that we just fly through, because it's not really, there's no, we're just unsure of where things are. That's all. Okay, Vayutot Sotav El Ein Rogel. So then the goings out will go to Ein Rogel, and then the Allah Gavul Gei Ben Hinnom. So the border went up to the valley of the son of Hinnom, and that's, by the way, again, Gehennem. The valley of Hinnom is our famous, what we consider hell, because what used to happen there was used to sacrifice children, according to the rabbis. They used to put them through the fires of Molech, from passing the children from one fire to the next until the child would die. That was the sacrifice. Or if they could live, according to Rash, and from again, there's an argument as to what goes on in Molech there. But everybody's agreeing that the babies will cry. So when the babies were crying, that was the ultimate hell for everybody. So that's why the people explain that we call hell, Jewish hell, Gehenna, the valley of Hinnom, where this event took place. El Ketav Hayevusi Minegev, to the south, to the side of the Jebusite. Okay, Vehi Yerushalayim, which is Yerushalayim, and then Allah Gavul El Rosh Har. Then we'll go up to the border will then go up to the top of the mountain. Asher Al Penei Gehinnom, that lies before the valley of Gehinnom, Yama, to the west. Asher Viksei Emek Rafaim Safona, that is to the edge of, or the end of the valley of the giants to the northward. Okay, so far everybody's good with all these places. Okay, the commentary digest says the valley of the son of Hinnom is a narrow and deep valley that surrounds the old city of Jerusalem on the west and the south. It was probably named after the Canaanites, similar to Evan of Bohan, the son of Reuven. Fine, but it's I don't know. I have no concept as to where that would be, because the old city is not that big. I'm trying to figure out where the valley would be around on that, but it's on the west and south. So if you could see a map, you could actually visit this place. Okay, whatever. Like I said, I'm not sure. I don't even know how to get around South Bend. Never mind to figure out. Sorry?
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I was in Jerusalem.
I can't figure out. I don't know the United States certainly. I'm not going to know Israel from the one time I was there.
Hilly and no, it was very mountainous and very dry compared to here.
Right. So that's. It's very hard to figure. Right. So it'd be interesting to know if we could. Like I said, I said this in the other times too. It will be fascinating if we could get a biblical map as close to what we can imagine it would be, just based upon what we have here, and a up-to-date map. And you know how they used to in schools put the overlay on the what's that thing from the audiovisual, where you would put it onto a screen? What's it called? That you put down the transparency and it would show up. Overhead machine. So it would be interesting if you could put one on top of the other and say this is what biblical Israel was, from what the borders we can figure out compared to what Israel would be today. And because we know the land mass. It's not a question of the land mass. We know what the land mass is, but it's a matter of what are the actual borders here and how would they present today. I think it would be interesting, because we also had the other side of the Jordan, where Jordan is. We had that part that was Gad, Reuven, and Manasseh. You're on the other side of the Jordan. So we had that territory also, which was Greater Israel, for all intents and purposes. Okay, so now 9. So the border is circled from the top of the mountain El Ma'ayan Me Neftoach to the fountain of the water of Neftoach. V'yatzan went out El Arei Har Ephraim, to the cities of Mount Ephron. Tar Gavul Baala, and then it circled to the border of Baala, Kiryat Yearim, which is also known as Kiryat Yearim, the valley, the city of forests, literally. And no, it doesn't say anything there. Right? Okay. But that's of a gavul mibala yama. So then the border would circle around, go compassed around. He says from Bala el Har Seir to Mount Seir, ve'avar el Ketav Har Yearim, and it would pass along the side of Mount Yearim. It's Safonim he Kisalon from the north. Yeah, so where is it? Going from the north to, which is Kislon, okay, and then V'yarad Beit Shemesh, and then it would go down to Beit Shemesh, and V'avar Timnah, and it would go to the side of Timnah. V'yatza Gavul El Ketef Ekron Zaphona. So then the border went out to the side of Ekron northward. Tara Gavul Shichrona. Sorry, okay. And so the border then circled to Shichron. V'avar Ahar. Huh?
Yeah, it's a print problem. It's Shichron. Okay.
Sorry?
No, I had to look at the Targum actually to find the Shichron.
Okay. V'avar Har Habala, and then it would cross over to Mount Bala, V'yatza Yavneel, and then it went out to Yavneel, V'hayu Tosa'ot HaGavul Yama, and the going out of the border were at the sea. Gvul Yam, and the border of the sea. Yam HaGadol, that was the Great Sea. and his border Gevul Bnei Yehuda. This is the border of the children of Yehuda. Savil the Mishkotam, surrounding them according to their families. Okay, so if I was the tribe of Yehuda, I would simply look at this stuff, this psukim and these verses, and I would know what my borders are. It doesn't mean that I'm going to know where I personally am going to live as a member of Bnei Yehuda. What it tells me is this is my land apportionment. This is the lottery that Hashem gave to the Yehuda. Now, luckily, and again, the Me'am Loeh says this, we all know there's no such thing as luck in Judaism, but it was beshared because what happens, the next verse, Ulakale ben Yefuna, and to Kale ben Yefuna, Tan Chele B'tov ben Yehuda, he was given a portion in the midst of Bnei Yehuda. That was, of course, who he was coming from anyway. So, El Pi Hashem Yehoshua, that was given to by the mouth of God to Yeshua, and as he told Yeshua to give it to him. Kiryat Arba Avi Anaki Hebron. So he gave him Kiryat Arba, which is the city of Arba, who was the father of the giant, and that is Hebron. So we learned that from the previous chapter that Kalev had wanted to get Hebron. He really didn't get Hebron. What was Hebron really used for? Uh-oh, what happened? We forgot already. City of refuge. It was an Ari Miklat. It was an Ir Miklat. It was a city of refuge. What he got was the surrounding area. You can't give away a city of refuge because who do all the Ari Miklat belong to?
The Levium.
Levium. Okay, along with, like I said, they get 48 cities altogether, but certainly the 6 cities belong to Levium, as it were. I mean, they don't get ownership of it, but that's what they're going to live, and that's what they're going to farm and everything else in the 2,000 amos surrounding the city. So they can't give that to Kalev. So what they did was rather they gave the surrounding area of Hebron to Kalev, because that's what he had requested. Very nice. Okay, so now what happens? Vayorish Misham, we have to hear a little bit more about Kalev. So Vayorish Misham Kalev et Shlosha b'nei Anak, he was a very strong man, and he had Hashem's help. Remember, he's 85 years old at this point, so Kalev drove out he drove out the 3 giants, or the 3 children of the giants, at Sheshai, at Achiman, v'et Talmai, Yelidi Hanak. They were Sheshai, Achiman, Talmai, the children of the giant. Shows how strong he was, and this is Rashi explains that. I mean, we saw this before. Also, when did he do this? The Achar Mitat Yoshua. This was after the death of Yoshua. Because still during the time of Joshua, he had not conquered Hebron, like we say in the book of Shoftim. But the reason it's written here in this place is because we're talking about the land that was split up. So we have to speak about that. Another thing that we have to deal with is that because it was under the the direction of Yehoshua, that's again why he's given credit for driving them out, even though it didn't happen until after he dies. Okay. So next, verse 15. Vayal Misham El Yoshve Devir. Then, so what happened? He went up from there to the inhabitants of Devir. V'shem Devir Lefanim Kiryat Sefer, and the name of Devir previously was Kiryat Sefer, which is the city of books. Rashi explains, Rabbeinu Amru Elu Hilchot Nishachu B'mei Avlo Shal Moshe. These are it's referring to a situation where the laws that were forgotten during the days of Moshe's mourning. Shechazir Adniel ben Kenaz bepipulo, that Adniel ben Kenaz regained through his pilpul. Now here's a whole story that goes with this. What happens according to the Me'am Loes, It's a nice story. It's not a fairy tale, but this is what happened. Okay, so what happened. So whenever you say story, you have to be careful that people don't think, we just made it up. What happened was that Moshe was about to die. So he says to Yehoshua, who has been his loyal servant, if you will, for lack of better terms, his student for the past 40 years. 40 years, yeah. He was with him for 40 years at least. And he said, "Do you have any questions about the halacha?" So Yehoshua says, "Moshe, I've been with you for 40 years. Have I ever missed a share? Basically, have I ever missed anything?" So he didn't ask him for anything. As a result, during the days of Moshe's Avelus, right when he died, so because of his arrogance, Hashem made him forget, if I remember correctly, 3,000 halachas. I forget what the exact number was. I think it was 3,000. And so when people start to come to him and ask him shaylas, they ask him questions, he didn't know. And they said, "Oh my God, we lost our great leader, and now we have somebody who doesn't even know how to answer the questions for us." I mean, he lost 3,000 things. He davens to Hashem, morning he davens to Hashem, and he tries to get Hashem to give him back the halachas, but Hashem says no. Basically, he says no. He says, instead what you're going to do is start conquering the land. That will make people forget what you don't know. Okay? So he starts to conquer the land. Of course, he doesn't get the job done. But so now when they're looking for a new leader, because Joshua passes away, they're now looking for a new leader, but they want someone who's going to be able to answer the question. So that's when Kalev goes to his half-brother, who becomes also his son-in-law, because Adniel will marry his daughter. And Adniel was a great scholar, and he was learning in Kiryat Sefer. It was a place in Eretz Yisrael which had very good influence on the people learning there. In other words, even though Eretz Yisrael itself is a great place to learn, and the Jews living there will have tremendous success in learning in every other endeavor they say, the rabbis tell us. Nonetheless, there's places within the land of Israel which is even stronger for learning. Kiryat Sefer is one of those places. So, according to the Mamlu's, Adniel ben Kenaz was a great person who was learning, and there's a whole story that goes with that. And ultimately, he's the one, that's what Rashi is bringing down, through his pilpul, through his understanding of Torah, brought back all those 3,000 things that Yehoshua forgot. That's the point of Kiryat Sefer. Okay. So now, Vayomer Kalev said, Ashiyakeh Kiryat Sefer, that the one who can just get rid of, smite the people in Kiryat Sefer, ulechada, and conquer it, but natati lo et achsa biti leisha. I will give him achsa, my daughter, for a wife. So the question is, wait a second, what's going on? Why didn't Kalev himself just go and conquer Devir? He conquered everything else. So he told Joshua, even though I'm 85, I'm still strong as when I went in to with you 40 years ago to spy out the land of Israel. His proof is he just destroys Sheshai Achiman Talmai, the giants of Kiryat Arba. It's not that, what are we talking about, a couple of days later, a year later, whatever. And suddenly he's saying he's afraid to go in. And he says, whoever can conquer this town, then I'll give my wife. I'll give my daughter. Again, his question is, how does he know that it was going to be done by a good guy? Maybe it would be done by a mamzer. Then you can't allow your daughter to marry a mamzer. Maybe it would be done by a natin. You couldn't be married a natin. So, one of the water carriers. the Gibeonites. Who you know who's going to do it? Somebody can do it. They want Achsa, and why would they want Achsa anyway? So it says Achsa was a beautiful woman. Wasn't mean she was beautiful. It meant that either she was a really great looking woman, or she was known for her piety and her sidkus, her righteousness. Either way, you can go either way with that. But her name also comes from the root of, well, not the root of, but it's derived from kas, meaning anger. So the rabbis say either her beauty was such that everyone that beheld her was apt immediately to be quarreled with his own wife, saying, why aren't you as beautiful as Achsa? Not a good thing to say to your wife. Or, why aren't you as pious as Achsa? Again, not a good thing to say to your wife. One thing you should learn from this, if nothing else, is never ever compare one person to the other. If I want to look at you and see you as a righteous person and a tzaddik and so on and so forth, for my own personal thing to strive to elevate myself to your level of piety, that's one thing. But to say to somebody else, why aren't you as pious as so-and-so, or why aren't you as beautiful or as handsome as so-and-so, it's just fighting words. It's just not worthwhile. And that's something we have to take out of this too. So either way, she was either very beautiful or she was just a tremendous tremendous tzaddikus, whatever. So what happens is, V'yilkada Atniel ben Kenaz achi Kalev. So what happened was Atniel, the son of Kenaz, the brother of Kalev, and again that's the brother of Kalev from his mother, not his father, because Kalev's father's name was Yefunah. His mother married Kenaz, from whom she had Atniel. Since Kalev was raised in the house of Kenaz, he's also known as Kenizi. That's fine. Okay, so Kenaz is going to marries his niece. Vaytin et Achsa bitoli isha. He gives him Achsa, his daughter, as a wife. Vayhi baboa. So now it came to pass. What happens? And she came to him, and she persuaded him to ask her father for a field. But Titznach melech Hamor, and she fell off from the donkey. V'yomer la Kalev malach. What can I do for you? What do you want? Okay, what's going on here? Her husband was again, going with the Mamla ways is really something that people should read. It's really the background to what's going on here. Without the background, you get lost. Achsa, Atniel just wanted to learn Torah. That was his thing. I want to learn Torah. Like every good Kollel guy, he was living in the world of Torah. And when I'm living in the world of Torah, I don't need things. Right? You don't need the land, you don't need this, you don't need that. God will take care of me. Achsa, the rabbi said, was more practical. And she said to her husband, I understand that you don't want to ask my father for gifts. I understand that because it says in Proverbs that one who gets gifts will die. You don't want to get gifts. But you have every right in the world to ask my father for a dowry. That's coming to you. That's not a gift. You get me, you get a dowry that goes with me. So you need to ask my father for my dowry. It's your right. He doesn't want to do that. But she finally convinced him, ask for the land. So he does ask for land, the Mamloy says. And when he gets a piece of, and Kalev gives him a not great piece of land. So Achsa again is angry with her husband. Says, "What are you, crazy? You can't live off this land. It takes more power. It'll take much more work to get this land up to speed and to produce a living than is worthwhile." So he says, "You have to go to my father and you have to ask for these things. You have to tell him what you need." And he says, "No, leave me alone. So she says, okay. She takes it into her own hands, and she goes. And what happens is, she goes to the father, and she fell off threw herself off the donkey, kissed her father's feet as she's going to say, hi, how you doing, Dad? Okay. And the Caliph says to her, what's going on? What can I do for you? I don't know what's happening right now. Okay. So here we go. Vatomer, she said, Tnali bracha, give me a spring. Not a bracha as in a blessing, but give me a spring. Because why? Or Rashi says, parnasa. Rashi says, give me a bracha, give me parnasa. Okay, either way. Oh, I should say brecha, I'm sorry. Brecha is spring. So bracha, give me a bracha, what's a bracha? Parnasa. Okay, so then, ki eretz ha-negev netatani. Because you gave me an arid land. V'natati li gulot mayim. Give me also springs of water. Because if you give me springs of water, then what I can do is I can water my land, and I can make it a good piece of land. So, and what's her argument, by the way? Her argument is very simple. She says to her father, Dad, what you've done is... Sorry?
There's at the end of the Radak, he says, Brechos Mayim. Anyway, first goes Mayim.
Sorry?
Anyway, so making the land better would sound like a spring of water. So he says...
Correct.
And the Radak, something about spring of water.
Which pasuk?
And
Yutet? Yeah, so he said, Tova, right. Okay, so that's what she's saying. And what's going on, she's saying to her father like this though. She says, Dad, you gave me Atniel ben Kenaz. Very nice, your brother, great guy. Love him like a husband. Okay. And what happens is, he's learning Torah. And you want him to learn Torah. He's a good Talmud Chacham. It's very important to marry your child to a Talmud Chacham. Tremendous. You should do it. And so on and so forth. The problem is that he can't support me. And if he's going to work this land that you gave him, he won't have time to learn Torah. It's going to be too much time. He'll take you away from his Torah studies. So if you give me the field, if you give me these wells, then we can cut some time off the other side, and he'll be able to learn Torah and so on and so forth. And he'll be able to support himself. Granted, they won't be driving the Cadillac Coupe de Ville, but they're going to have a parnasa. So that's, again, it might be 4 or 5 pages of going through the Me'amah ways to see the story behind the headlines here, but it's really a whole argument or a discussion, if you will, that's going on between daughter, a husband and wife, and ultimately daughter and father. And then it's going to be a husband, and father-in-law, or 2 brothers, however you want to look at their relationship at that point. It's a great story. Okay. You really need the background though. Let's go on though. It says, so I want the upper springs and the lower springs. So this is the inheritance of the tribe of Judah according to their families. Fine. Verse 21. So these were the uppermost cities which the tribe of the children of Judah toward the El Gavul Edom and Benegba, to the border of Edom, which was southward, were Kapseel, Ve'eda, Ve'yagur, Kina, all named places. Kina, Ve'dimona, Ve'ad Ada, Ve'kedesh, Ve'chatzor, Ve'yitnan, Ziv, Ve'telem, Uve'alot, Ve'chatzor, Ve'chadata, Ve'kiriot, Chetzron, He Chatzor. Chetzron is also Chatzor. Amas, Ushma, Molada, V'chatz, Gada, Ve'chetzron, Beit, Palit, V'chatz, Shu'al, Ve'er Sheva, Ziota, and Bala v'iyim v'atzam v'el tolad. We're on 30 already. Uksil v'charma v'tziklag umad mana v'sas sana ulevaot v'shilchem v'ayim v'rimon kol arim. All of the cities altogether Esrim v'teisha v'chatzreihem. We're at 29, and with their villages 32. So Rashi says, "Upratan ata motze shloshim ushmona," and if you would count them out, you would find that there are really 38. Ela ela yeterod natul b'nei Shimshon, but those that were remaining from, if you subtract 38 from 29, you come out with, go ahead, 38 from 29, no, 9, right? That would make sense. 38 from 29. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you would have it come out 9. Okay, so I'm a rabbi, but I know how to add and subtract. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Got something from school. The Eliyater, so that's what Bnei Shimon took. Mechevel Bnei Yehuda, V'nizkarod Heim V'nachalat Shimshon. They're mentioned in the inheritance of Shimshon, Be'ershava, Molada, V'chatza, V'shual, V'etzem, V'etodad, V'eltodad, V'charma, V'siklag, V'ein Ramon, V'tesha Yeterot, Amanoim Khan. So those 9 will be counted by Shimshon too, because Shimshon will be absorbed in the area of Yehuda. He's going to be encircled by a lot of people. If you see the map, you're going to see I think they call it gerrymandering, if I remember correctly. So the borders are all over the place. They're really in one place here. It looks like crazy districts. But that's what's going on there. Okay, so now we go to 33. So it says Bashvela. In the lowland, Eshta'ol v'tzar'av v'ashlam v'zanoah v'en ganim v'tavor v'enam v'yar v'vadulam shocha v'zeka v'sha'ar rayim v'aditatayim I'm sorry, v'ageder v'ugederotayim ar arim araba esri v'chasreyan. So again you have 15, it says you have 14 cities. Rashi again says pratan chamesh asrei. If you count them out, you'll have 15. So Rashi wants to say that the place tafuach ve'enam, which is in verse 34, is really one place. V'zeh perushan. This is how you should explain it. Tapuach ve'ayin shalo ein tapuach. Tapuach and the well, it seems the well, that is Ein Tapuach Amor Benachalat Menashe. That's also placed in the inheritance of Menashe, El Gavul Ayin Tapuach, to the inheritance of Ein Tapuach. So he wants to say that really there's one place, and that's why Tanakh is counting as 14. Okay, let's go on. So we go to 37. Sinan v'chadasha migdal gad, and then you have dil an hamitzpeh v'yakte el lachitz uvatzkal v'el eglon v'chabon v'lachman v'chitzlish gederot beit dagon. And here you go, another all name places. V'nama makeda arim sheish esrei v'chatzreihen. So here you have 16 cities and their villages. Apparently there's no, they're counting right here. Good. Livna ve'ete ve'ashan, ve'yiftach ve'ashan ve'neziv, u'kaliya ve'achza ve'rasha, arim teisha chashem. Again, you have 9 cities, and the count is correct. Ekron ve'notea, so you have Ekron and its towns, ve'chatzera, and villages, me'ekron hayama, from Ekron to the west, kol asher al yad Ashdod ve'chashem. So all that were near Ashdod with their villages, Ashdod ve'notea, Ashdod and its cities, and his villages, Gaza, Gaza. That, by the way, Gaza is Gaza. Okay, the ayin, if you, according to some pronunciation, will be because it's guttural, so it comes out as a g. Okay, so that's how they get to Gaza, because really it's Gaza. Okay, but so you have Gaza, its cities and its villages, Ad Nachal Mitzrayim, until Nachal, the river of Egypt, Ve'ayam, again, whatever that was, Ve'ayam Gadol, and the great sea, Ugvul, and his borders, Uvahar, and in the mountain Shamir, Ve'yatir, Veshocha, Vedana, Kiryat Sana, he Devir, and then again Sana, which is Devir, Va'anav. Let's do one thing. Okay, so Anav, Ve'eshama, Va'anim, we're now 51. V'Goshen, V'Chalon, V'Gilo, Arim, Achad, Ashrei, V'Chadreim. So you have 11 of those cities and its villages. Arav, V'Dum, Ve'eshan, V'Yanom. Yeah, okay. If you look there, by the way, at Ve'Yanom, you should all have in your books. That's your classical case of Ktiv, because it's written with a Yud, but the Kri is with a Vav, with a Cholim. So that's why it's Vayanom of Vayanim. Vayanom Be'tafuach, Ve'apeka, Ve'chumta, Ve'kirit Arba, Hi Chevron. It's interesting, they always have to identify Kiryat Arba as Chevron. I never quite understood. That's everywhere in the Torah you see that. Even literally in the Torah, when you go to the Torah, it says Kiryat Arba, Hi Chevron. The city of Arba, which is Chevron. There must be something that they need to identify that way every single time. Okay. One day I'll find everything. And so that was 9 cities and their villages. Ma'on, Carmel, Viziv, Yutan. So then you have again name places. V'Yisrael, V'yak Da'am, V'Zanoach, V'Akayin, Giv'a, V'Timna, Arim, Eser, V'Chasreyan. So here you have 10 cities and their villages. Chalchul, Beit Sor, Ugador. Okay, Ma'arat, Beit, Uved, Anot, V'El Ketonan. Arim, Sheish, V'Chasreyan. So here's 6 cities and their villages. Kiryat Ba'al, Kiryat Arim, V'Haraba. So Kiryat Ba'al, which is Kiryat Arim, and Rabba, Arim, Shtayim, B'Chasreim. So that's 2 cities and their villages. Bamidbar, Beit Arava. In the wilderness you have Beit Arava, Midin, Uschalcha. V'Nivshan, V'Ira Melach, V'Engedi. Okay, so the city of the salt, okay, which is interesting, and Ein Gedi. So the city of the salt must be near each other, because Ein Gedi and the Yam HaMelech are right across the street from each other. I remember walking from one to the other. So apparently that a little city in the middle of that. Guessing that would make sense anyway, or somewhere near that. So that was Arim, Sheish, V'Chasreim. So they had 6 cities and their villages, and then we had Yevusi, Yoshve Yushalayim. The Jebusites were inhabitants of Yushalayim. Lo Yachlu. Again, you have a Ketiv Kri here. Lo Yachlu B'nei Yehuda Lahorisham. B'nei Yehuda could not drive them out. V'yeshav Yevusi, and the inhabitants of the Yevusi at B'nei Yisrael. And so they were there until this day. So Rashi explains, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, it was explained in the Sifri that Yeshua ben Karcha said, Yecholim hayu, they really could have conquered them. El shahu shaloyu risha'in machmad shavua shenishba avram Avimelech. But they weren't allowed to, because of this ancient oath that Abraham made to Avimelech. And what was the ancient oath that Avimelech said? You can't take over my land until my son and my grandson. Well, this actually is later. This is much later. But they're still holding by that sort of thing, because the treaty was made. Fine. And when they talk about the Jebusite, it really wasn't that the place that they were. And there was the people that were, the nation was here. Ella, Migdal David, Shayab Yushalayim, but rather Migdal David, which was in Yushalayim, Shmo Yevusi, Ubenei Otomachus Pelishtim, those people. His name was Yevus, and the children of that district was from the Pelishtim Hayu. K'shechavshu b'nei Yehuda Yerushalayim, and so when ultimately Bnei Yehuda will conquer Yerushalayim, lo horshu et bnei oto machus. They didn't drive out the children of that district. So that's really what happens when they finally do take it over. They're not going to do it because they're not getting it from what do you call it? The original people. It's the different people. We'll stop there. We're now on chapter 16.
It's coming up nowadays, but people are thinking back to World War II, the expansionist plans of Germany, the expansionist plans of Russia.
Right.
That is there what Hitler had a very good idea for Sudetenland. There were Germans who needed German protection. He didn't feel that they were being treated fairly by the Czechoslovakians. Right. So now Russia seems to be making some similar, at least some similarity. Yeah. The Russian speakers, they're Russian descendant people